I think, like we say a lot, like I think you have to do a bit more digging to find the new R&B that resonates with you, because I think new R&B has so many different lanes and variations that maybe R&B didn't necessarily have back then, that now you just have to do a bit more, because you can be a fan of one artist, like let's say you're a fan of Sir, but even within Sir, like his sound can go so many different ways, that what he dropped with Chasing Summer, and then he drops Heavy, and that's two different totally sounds different. Now you don't know if you really like him as an artist, you know.
And that's the cool thing too about new school R&B, because now we have streaming too. So if you're listening to a certain artist, I don't know how it is on Spotify because I don't really use it, but Apple Music, like say you're listening to Sir, scroll all the way up, at the bottom they're gonna give you like 5 artists that are similar to this artist, and every time you do that, you keep going back, you're gonna find more artists because they're
well, with Spotify, once you finish listening to a project or a song, it's going to automatically play something that's similar.
So it's the same
that
exactly.
Spotify thinks you would
I heard
enjoy.
that Spotify is more user-friendly. I need to get on Spotify. I mean, I have it. It's just not my go-to.
I use Apple Music.
Yeah, me too.
For work, I use Spotify.
Yeah, that's how it is. But
yeah.
I don't know. I wonder why people always answer old school R&B, though, because they be listening to new school R&B. LMA, Bryson Tiller.
A lot of the times when I'm doing interviews and that's one of the first questions I ask, new school R&B versus old school R&B. I think most people answer old school R&B for the general like feel and nostalgia of it. And then they also say that like new school borrows so much from the old school. So even the new school R&B artists like enjoy that era of music more, which I understand. But I also think that sometimes if I'm asking, like, this is like talent aside, if I'm asking fans their preference, I think they automatically go for it because they're not willing to do the work to search for the new school that they enjoy, like I said. Yeah. Where are you going?
There's so much.
Are you going new school or old school?
I mean, R&B? I don't know. That's a hard question because I listen to both. Yeah. But
hard body.
Yeah, like it's really 50-50 for me. Like I could be in my car and listen to something that came out yesterday or something that came out in the 70s. Like I'll be bumping Donna Summer and Beyonce and Ari Lennox and Marvin Gaye all in one sitting. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I really couldn't. But there's a lot of new R&B artists now that I'm like, oh, this sounds. It gives you the same feel that you got like in the early 2000s and like 90s. That's what people say that the golden age of R&B is, and I think they just pick it for the feel of it. And I think that's low key because of the hip hop fusion. I don't know.
That's valid.
And then like in the 70s too, they had like, it was more like disco funk, and that's what pushed it like to the forefront a little bit. But it was more like political stuff. They could put their social issues in there and talk about that, like Marvin Gaye, of course, people like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I either
half and half for me.
Yeah, in between, dance the line for sure, because I have love for the old school, but I
of
also
course, because we wouldn't have anything right now without what.
But I know that I really appreciate what new school R&B is doing and pushing the envelope and the
keeping the culture alive. Yeah. Even when people used to say R&B there was always good R&B. Like the videos that I do for the page where I'm literally listing the hits of R&B from every year, and there's hits in there. I'm like, I'm going through the Billboard charts. I'm like, how did y'all ever say R&B was dead? Like we had
crazy
at least 20 hits a year.
As long as Christopher Maurice Brown is alive and well, okay?
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's technically a new school R&B artist, right? When are we saying new school? Like 2005?
You know what? I was asked that this weekend. I think I was interviewing Rory from the Rory and Mal. Is there a podcast called the Rory and Mal podcast?
I want to say yes. I've seen that on TikTok.
I was interviewing him, and he was like, well, what are we considering old school? And I didn't really know where to draw the line from old school to new school. So I was just like, anything 2000s and up, I'm going to say new school. Where would
2000s and up? I feel like I would put the line like 2010, because now we're almost in 2030s. Like, we're almost in a different decade of the 2020s.
Okay.
So now I think I would start like new school, like 2010, like the last 15 years.
Okay.
Because even early 2000s, like it sounds like people are now like having Y2K parties.
Yeah.
What?
That's like Ja Rule, Shanti joints. Yeah. That could be technically old school. Okay. Okay.
You know, boy group days.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
112.
B2K.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that. That is a different type of era. And it did have a different type of sound, too.
It did, for sure.
So, I mean, yeah, but they're not. But the artists that were around then, like a Chris Brown, because that's what, like 2005, 6, he's still relevant today. Or like a Usher or Beyonce or Mariah Carey.
Yeah,
you know, these are still
it's harder
artists that
to
were,
draw the
you know,
line.
like,
yeah.
Technically they could be an old school artist, but they could also be a new school.
But they were just so, I feel like they wouldn't I feel like they were just so, like when I'm thinking of Chris Brown,
he was
just so young in that space that I think he's grown more into his identity as an artist now than he was
as
back then.
Man.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like 2010s. 2010s in new school. I think that's
where we start, like when we're thinking about like the new R&B set for the show. We go like last 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
And like just brand new, but there is a whole bunch of new artists out there that are killing it right now. Obviously.
And I do get answers of people who do prefer the new school over old school, and usually their answer is more so like I said, they appreciate people who have picked up that torch and like
ran with it
and made the different variations and lanes for what R&B could sound like that we weren't getting back then.
It is different though. I do be like, sometimes the lyrics be throwing me off a little bit. I'm like, this would have never worked 10 years ago. Like,
but you could say that about a bunch of other mediums. You could say that about like what we're saying on the radio
that we live in.
You could say that about what we're seeing on movies and shows. True. Like it's every variation has kind of like pushed the envelope way more than they were.
The restrictions aren't as strict anymore.
Like I remember, I don't listen to the radio often now, but I know that growing up, like when we would ride in the car with my mom, we're listening to like the Tom Joyner morning show, Ricky Smiley morning show, and I feel like they say like bitch on the radio now, or damn, or like there are certain words
they
in songs that they don't bleep out that I feel like they used to bleep out.
Yeah. I know for sure they used to beep out ass, because remember that song "Ass" by Big Sean? It was just like that's how it used to sound on the radio.
I feel like the last time that I listened to the radio, I'm like, oh, like
you're right. They're the restriction. I don't know if that's FCC or what, who that has to do with, but it's just your TV, movies, everything.
Every medium has just
that's true. But that's what all the older folks be saying. It's the lyrics. I'm like, no, the lyrics back in the day was a little raunchy too. They just come out all the way and say it.
Little. That's what, and whenever like my mom's biggest argument is like, you know, she love her Spanish music down. La bachata, merengue, salsa, that's her lane. Now she's either listening to that or like old shit, you know. And she's like, I don't listen to this new stuff because it's nasty and blah blah blah, but I'll put on a bachata song right now that's just as nasty. So what are we talking about?
It's just the groove, because they got live instruments to it. They like, oh, it's not that bad.
Oh, I'm not really listening to the lyrics. It's just okay. So don't talk when you hear whatever I want to listen to.
No, because it's a bunch of new stuff out right now.
Yeah,
it's a whole bunch of artists killing it. I just seen. I'm mad that we was not mad, but I'm sad that we were booked the same time that Kenyon Dixon had this show out here, because I really would have loved to see that. Like, he's somebody that's killing the game right now. I'm glad we got to see Victoria Monet though. That girl's a superstar.
Big facts.
Superstar. I'm ready for. I need some Ari Lennox too.
Granted, I wish I would have caught her a little bit earlier, and then now, and then at the next level that she's about to be at.
I'm glad I did.
But I'm glad that we caught her at this
like beginning stage.
Yeah, kind of like
she has not even close to the peak.
It's like
she got places to go.
I don't know how to explain it, but I'm so glad that we caught her and we're able to witness this part of her career, because she's definitely about to kick it up a billion notches, and I can't wait to see it.
R&B only.